You have Senator Jeff Flake with you. He was there this morning.
He was. Wolf, thank you very much, Senator Flake, now in a suit and tie. But I saw you this morning. You were still wearing your baseball pants and your shirt, your cleats, I believe, even when you came here. Just take us back to the moment this morning. When did you first get the impression you were under fire?
We heard one shot at about 7:10, and everybody just kind of looked at each other like that sounded like a gun. It sounded close. But a few seconds later, then there was a kind of a volley, and then it was clear.
Whip Scalise was at second base. He is in the hospital, we're told, in stable condition,
right.
In surgery. Where were you?
I was on the first base line. I had batted and gone to the field and had come back and was just talking to Joe Barton from Texas at that time, and kind of looked at each other and then realized it was gunfire. And a number of us headed for the dugout, the first base dugout, believing that the gunman was over on the by the other dugout, and he was. Right. So there were ultimately about 12 of us in that dugout, and a few more would come every couple of minutes, including one of the staff members who had been shot while he was in center field. He made his way over to the dugout and had climbed in, and we had a belt and put it on to try to staunch some of the bleeding.
How many shots?
Some people were estimating over 50. I think that's an understatement. There were a lot. He was well armed.
Did you get at all a glimpse either at the shooter or at the weapon?
I did at the shooter, not the weapon. I think he had lost the rifle by the time I saw him. He'd worked away back behind home plate, behind the fence, and I was trying to see if he was down. I wanted to get out to where Steve Scalise was to see if we could drag him over to the dugout. So I stood up, and the gunman was there just behind the fence, behind home plate, and he caught sight of where I was, and so we quickly, a bunch of us jumped down so as not to be in the line of fire, because he had a line of sight to us, and a number of us were there, and we worried that he would make his way around and get in the dugout, and then we'd be in a really bad situation.
Did you see him taken down?
No. We were tending to the staff member, and also Joe Barton's son, 10-year-old, was there. He made it to the dugout as well, and we quickly got him and put him under the bench and tried to hide him as much as we could. And then we heard the gunman's down, and that's when I ran out to Steve to see if we could staunch the bleeding there, and for the next 10 or 15 minutes we did that.
Describe that moment, and when you arrived, you say staunch the bleeding. When you got there, what were your thoughts about the seriousness of this?
You could see where he had crawled from across some of the infield and the trail of blood to where he was. He'd moved about 10 to 15 yards. A great effort to do that. I think he was trying to get away from the gunman.
Was he speaking to you?
Yes, he was, and he said that he needed water. He was coherent, tried to keep him talking to make sure that he would stay coherent, and he did so. And then we cut away some of the jersey and whatnot, and tried to apply something to the wound. I had my batting gloves on, and those are pretty blood-soaked now.
And could you tell at that moment, one gunshot, when you first arrived, sort of how did you figure out exactly where it was, what the issue was?
That one was clear, and we kept looking and feeling down the leg or looking for other blood. We tried to see an exit wound. Another member ran out, Brad Winfried, I believe, from Ohio, who was a surgeon, and we were looking to see if there was any other injury. We couldn't see it, but we were having a hard time moving. Somebody took off their shirt and we put it on the wound, and that kept it pretty well, but then we removed that and tried to put some gauze on, and that wouldn't stop it. And so we ended up having to put the shirt back on and get a belt or something to cinch it to try to keep the bleeding down.
And Whip Scalise was speaking this entire time?
He was, and we wanted to make sure he did.
You said he asked for water. What else was he saying?
Yeah, he was just trying to ask, I think, about others or where the gunman was, but we were just glad he was talking, that he wasn't passing out.
Obviously, it's a chaotic situation. You're not tracking time, but do you have any sense of how quickly it was? When you had police on the scene and the response?
It seemed like a lot more than 10 minutes, but I think it was about 10 minutes, which is a long time to be, with return fire for a gunman to continue. And it was, I can tell you, it was harrowing for a lot of people. Gunfire everywhere. When the gunfire started from behind our dugout, we really didn't know if that was our, Steve's security detail, or if it was another gunman, perhaps. And so I kept yelling, "Are you friendly? Are you friendly?" And finally, the officer poked his head around the dugout and said yes, and then I could see who it was, and he kept returning fire from that position for a while.
If Steve Scalise were not a member of the leadership, and those two Capitol Police officers were not there, do you think you'd be here right now?
I doubt it. I mean, I think that it would have been a horrible, horrible scene, much worse than it was. So, yeah, very grateful that they were there. I mean, he had a lot of ammo, and obviously with people seeking refuge in the dugout, unless there's somebody there to protect it, you know, if he makes it there to the dugout, then you're in trouble.
I talked to Congressman DeSantis, who left the field just a few minutes before this happened, and he said he and Jeff Duncan were in the car, and the shooter approached and said, "Are those Republicans or Democrats out there?" He's deceased now. The shooter, social media, anti-Trump, anti-Republican rhetoric. It's obviously a political motivation here, it appears. Does that affect how you think about this day?
You know, I think there'll be time enough to analyze that. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what happened, and hopefully best wishes and prayers to those who are injured. And Capitol Police, just so glad they were there and were so heroic.
Senator, I appreciate your time today.